Welcome to the Leaders in Payments podcast, where we talk to C-level leaders from across the payments landscape. We'll be discussing the products and services that impact the payment space today, as well as trends and predictions for the future of payments. We will also hear stories from our guests about their journeys to the top.
Justt, we build solutions for online businesses to deal with their chargebacks using smart technology. We actually build them a totally hands-off solution while we are taking care for the entire hassle for them to deal with the chargebacks using smart technologies that enable us to build a tailor-made solution per merchant in order to being able to bring them the highest success rate in the industry.
That was Ofir Tahor, the CEO of Justt, and he is our special guest on this episode 136 of the Leaders in Payments podcast, and I'm your host, Greg Myers. Before we jump into the episode, I wanted to remind you that March is Diversity and Inclusion Month. So if you're interested in getting involved as a guest or a sponsor, please reach out to me at greg@leadersinpayments.com. In this episode, I talked with Ofir about his journey through the payments industry. As an Israeli native who officially caught the startup bug back in 2005, Ofir enjoys the challenge that comes with building something from the ground up and watching it manifest. And now this startup venture called Justt has turned into a rapidly growing company with the highest success rate in the industry and a portfolio that reads like a who's who of payments. The company name is Justt, Justt, and this comes from their drive to bring justice to the chargeback process and balance the scales for merchants when it comes to recovering their funds. Tune in this week to hear Ofir talk strategy and success when it comes to setting industry standards. We've got a great episode ahead, so let's get started. Hi, Ofir. Thank you for being here, and welcome to the Leaders in Payments podcast.
Thanks for inviting us. It's very exciting.
Let's dive in. If you don't mind, tell our audience a little bit about yourself, maybe where you grew up, where you went to school, where you currently live, a few things like that. And we'll dive into your professional career a little bit later. But for now, just a little bit about yourself.
Great. I grew up in Israel. Actually, I'm still living in Israel as of today. But I lived in many different countries in my life, mostly for relocation related to businesses and acquisitions. I lived in Philadelphia, in Toronto, in Chicago, and some others. Actually, I have master in computer science with emphasis on machine learning algorithm from Bar-Ilan University. It's a very known university for machine learning in Israel. And my first job was at companies that called Buzzmetrics. It was a startup in Israel back then at 2005, which was sold to Nielsen at 2008. It was my first experience in startup. It was a very exciting moment for me to take part of a startup that was sold, which of course was make me exciting to found my first company, Shopial, at 2011. At Shopial, we build solutions for e-commerce sellers to sell across the social networks. So we provide merchants solution to advertise within Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram within one click. And after 5 years running the business, I sold my company to Magento Commerce. At Magento, I worked for a couple of years. This time was from Philadelphia. And after it was sold to Adobe, I left Adobe and I founded Justt together with my partner. I moved back to Israel and we founded it together.
Okay. Well, let's dive in and talk about Justt. So tell the audience what Justt does.
At Justt, we build solutions for online businesses to deal with their chargebacks using smart technology. We actually build them a totally hands-off solution while we are taking care for the entire hassle for them to deal with the chargebacks using smart technologies that enable us to build a tailor-made solution per merchant in order to being able to bring them the highest success rate in the industry.
Okay. And what kind of customers do you have? Are there certain segments of merchants, or can it be basically any merchant that takes electronic payments?
So we are working with some partners such as a payment processor, PayFax, e-commerce platforms, anti-fraud solutions, and some others. And we're also working directly with the merchants. We usually targeting merchants with at least $100 million in GMV. The reasons that we have the threshold is due to the fact that we have the tailor-made solution that enable us to reach the highest success rate. And we need them to have enough amount of chargebacks because we are also a success-based solution. So we want to make sure that it makes sense for both sides to integrate together. And we have many customers from e-commerce industry, payments such as alternative payments, crypto, traveling, gaming, subscription, and services.
And how big is the company right now?
The company is about over 130 employees. We grow very fast. Just like last December, we were 2 employees. So we grow significantly from the headcount. But we also have many customers. We have over 50 customers. We deal with over 50,000 chargebacks today. We bring our solution to many large and even enterprise customers who trust on our solution. Most of the team is in Israel, but we also have some employees in Toronto, and we are building a satellite office in the US today.
And is your solution a global solution, or are there certain countries that you operate in?
Great question. So today we support North America, South America, and Europe as well. Of course, this is part of the challenging dealing with chargebacks because in different countries and different locations, due to the regulation, you have challenging dealing with chargebacks. So most of our customers are located in the US while they are selling their services or products within Europe, South America, and other locations. And we actually able to support them in those locations with the fact that we are taking care of the trouble for them of dealing with chargebacks. It's also with the fact that we're dealing with the regulation within each country and we know how to reach the highest success rate for each type of case, not just for each reason codes per credit card, also per each country.
And how do you price the product and sell it? You mentioned success-based, so I'm curious what your business model is like and how you price it to your customers.
So because we really have confidence and trust our solution, we charge on success base only, which means that if we didn't help you to gain your money back, we won't charge you anything. We don't charge for any initial cost or per evidence creation. We take care for everything for you. And today we charge percentages of the total amount that we help you to recover. And of course, we'll send you the invoice only after you got your money back. So you pay us only once you see the money back from the payment processor, and then you only pay to us. Usually our fee is around 35%.
Okay. You said you sell through a lot of partners, so I assume you have a direct sales force and the partnership channel. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have partnerships with some PSPs. Stripe is one of them, with e-commerce platforms. e-commerce is one of them as well. And of course, other anti-fraud solutions. We are in discussions with PayFax and some of the orchestration platforms to offer our solution to them. In general, many of them are using our solution in order to enrich their solution and offer it to their customers while we are taking care of the dealing with the chargebacks itself.
And just curious, I always like to ask this when there's a unique company name, but it's Justt, Justt. Just curious what the backstory on where the name came from.
Great. So we were AcroCharge at the beginning, but we decided to rebrand. The reason for the Justt, and I don't know if you saw our logo, we have also a triangle on the bottom. It's coming from justice, and the triangle is actually coming from the balance itself. So what we do, we actually restore the balance because today the success rate, the average success rate, it's about 20 to 30%, while the amount of the illegitimate chargebacks is about 80%. So it's actually supposed to be the opposite. Merchants supposed to win much more of the chargebacks. And this is exactly what Justt was for. We help them to balance the situation, dealing with the chargebacks and helping them to recover the most amount of funds as they supposed to.
I've had other chargeback management companies on the show over the last couple of years. So what would you say differentiates your company from your competitors out there?
Great. So I like to split the competitors to different categories. The first one is more direct competitor because they also full service solution and they take care for the entire trouble for you while you are hands off, such as us. However, they are manual solution because what they do is they build teams overseas for you to deal with your chargebacks. And their challenge is mostly with the fact that it's very hard to scale the expertise when you need to build a new team for this purpose to deal with the chargeback. So they usually use more generic templates instead of tailor-made templates and tailor-made solutions as we build. The other category is more like technology. However, they provide tool for your in-house team, your team who's supposed to deal with the chargebacks in order to manage the life cycle of the chargeback. What they do is they actually just giving you the tool while you need to have the expertise internally in order to understand how to build the evidence, what to put within the evidence, and how to tackle this problem, which is the most pain part within dealing with the chargebacks itself, which we do everything for our merchants. So if you will take a look at the competitive landscape, we are the only solutions that provide full service solution using smart technology and not just doing automation. We also optimize the success rate ongoing for the merchants using the machine learning that we build that enable to create the strongest evidence for them.
And you mentioned the word earlier, customization and customized for the actual merchant themselves. If you don't mind, can you kind of walk through what that looks like? Customization can sound like a negative sometimes, but maybe can you walk through what that really means and why that's so valuable in your business model?
Sure, of course. The way that we customize the solution, we actually customize it in a way that we understand exactly what is the specific needs of specific customer, and accordingly, we build a solution. We analyze very well their terms and conditions, confirmation email, and many other things within the payment process itself in order to understand how exactly we are going to tackle their problem. We will analyze also the reasons code that they have. Sometimes even we will provide different evidence per each different issuing bank. So after the first analysis, we build a solution that it's tailor-made for them, and tailor-made it's on our side. So they don't need to do anything besides just provide us access to the payment processor, which can be done very easily and very quickly, while we are doing a lot of work in order to make sure that we provide the most appealing data within the evidence. And just to give you some sense, like our evidence, it's look between 15 to 25 pages per one evidence. And the machine learning make the decision of what exactly content we would like to put within the evidence. So it's not that the machine learning writing text, it's mostly that the machine learning decide which component or which part of text we would like to insert within specific evidence. This is like the part of the tailor-made solution because the technology know exactly how to tackle each different industry, each different type of merchant, and each different case, whether if it's a subscription payments model or service, physical goods, digital goods, or any other type of situation.
All right, well, let's talk about the industry in a broader view. Where do you see the payments industry? And obviously you can put your sort of chargeback management kind of view on it, but where do you see the industry heading in the next, say, 2 to 3 years?
I think it's going to be very exciting for this industry for the next 2 to 3 years. As someone who comes from the e-commerce industry, I saw the lack of solution within the payments domain for the e-commerce merchants. They struggle to deal with many parts within the payments itself, while in the past, each one of them was a niche. Chargebacks 10 years from now, especially for card not present, was significantly smaller than today. So I feel that in the next 2 to 3 years, we are going to see more solutions, such, of course, the anti-fraud solution, who started it before us, creating smart technologies, machine learning, in order to tackle those type of problems within the payment process, including the fact that many other alternative payment solutions are going to be announced and are going to be present for the merchants and for the online businesses. So as soon as people moving from more using cash and card presents, we are going to move more for card not presents and alternative payments, while the technologies such as us and many other solutions within the payment processors are going to create smart technology in order to being able to provide the merchants and the online businesses better solution to deal with those situations and troubles within the process.
As we've seen during the last couple of years with the pandemic, so many transactions have moved online. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, does that cause more chargebacks or less chargebacks? I mean, what's sort of the trend in the broader view of the number of chargebacks?
I think it's caused much more chargebacks. Of course, the numbers also show that. And I think beside the fact that it caused more chargebacks, it put a lot of merchants who used to work offline or actually to sell offline to start to understand how they deal with those situations, because many companies moved from dealing with transactions offline to dealing with transactions online, which is totally different type of business. So they now struggling with the chargeback situation and struggling within other different things besides chargebacks. But chargebacks is a specific topic which is very relevant for a card not presents, which they don't really understand how to tackle and they don't really understand how to deal with this pain. So I think that Justt, and of course, when we started, it was AcroCharge. When we founded the company, we saw a lot of needs during the pandemic time from many businesses who tried to understand how exactly they handle it. And once they found our solution, they were very glad to find out that there is a way to deal with it without dealing with it at all, manually or in-house. So many of them are looking to outsource these type of problems to different solution who will take care of the entire trouble for them.
It sounds like over the last couple of years, you've probably had to do a lot of consulting and advising and educating because these merchants that came online to sell online just may not even know necessarily what a chargeback was. I mean, I'm sure they did, but maybe not in the context of e-commerce. So I'm sure you had to do a lot of educating.
Yes, we mostly found ourselves more educate the merchants and explain them that first, there is a solution for them. You're supposed to get your money back. And second, of course, to educate them about how to analyze the chargebacks well. For example, I jump sometimes on a call with a merchant when they said, oh, we have some chargebacks, but very few. It's very small percentages. And once I guide them to go to the Stripe account and to understand how to analyze their chargebacks, they were very surprised to find out that, let's say that one of them assumes that they have $1,000 of chargebacks per month. They found out that they have $20,000 of chargebacks per month.
Wow.
Yeah, yes. It was significantly different. And I also explained them the fact that it's actually coming from the net revenue. So sometimes you think that it's 1%, but if your margin is 10%, so the 1% become 10% because it's 1% out of 10%. So there is a gap on explaining the problem itself and also guide them with the fact that, yes, there is a solution and we can actually help you to gain the most amount of loss in chargebacks because we know how to do that. And there is a difference between trying to do it by yourself, presenting, for example, some of them just trying to use the FedEx information in order to show that the person got the product. However, in some cases, especially with relation to the reasons code, if you are dealing with a situation that the shopper said, I don't recognize this transaction, this type of proof is not going to help you. So we know exactly how to analyze the situation. We know exactly how to analyze the 20 reasons codes that every credit card has their own reasons code. We know exactly how to analyze, as I mentioned before, even the issuing bank. And we know exactly which data to put or even not to put within the evidence in order to gain the highest success rate.
All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you and your journey to your role there as the CEO. So you mentioned a little bit about your background and your career. So maybe you pick it back up where you decided to start the company. What was the reason? How did you come up with chargebacks as a business problem that you wanted to solve?
Sure. So first of all, about the CEO part, I think someone who grew in the startup nation, it was always like make you exciting, like taking a part in startup, which I did at one of my first job in Buzzmetrics. And later on, like it's also make me feeling exciting about when I saw the CEO of Buzzmetrics, it was make me feeling excited about starting a company by myself. And this was when I started Shopial. However, in Justt, actually, me and my partner, Ronen Ben-Ami, who before Justt, he worked at Simplex, is a payment processor in the crypto industry. We are actually completing each other because I'm coming from the business side. When Ronen Ben-Ami came to me with the idea, I did DD by myself, due diligence by myself within the e-commerce industry. And I find the lack of solutions that missing there. And I find the needs from the merchant side. And I know the business type well, especially with the e-commerce, but also the online businesses. While my partner coming from the payments industry, and he understood very well how to solve this type of pain, how to build a solution, also to tackle this problem in a way that he understands very well how the issuing bank analyze the evidence on their side. So it was kind of intuitive for me and my partner to start working together. It was very exciting, even if I ran a business before, was CEO before, sold my company successfully. it's always super exciting to start something new with new partner. And we are complete each other, and each one of us fit to the part within the business that we get into. Myself to the business side and him for the solution side.
Okay, that's awesome. So, what are some things you're passionate about? Maybe one work-related thing and one personal thing that you have a strong passion for.
Great. So I'm always exciting about work, but I'm mostly passionate of complex problems and simplify it. And of course, it always makes me satisfied if it is for businesses or like users who experience the type of solutions that I provide. You can see it within my entire journey at the IT industry, especially again in startups. But for example, in Buzz Metrics, we build solutions for large companies to understand what people think about specific topic within the social networks. Social networks by 2005 was mostly forum, blogs, and groups, but we actually enable them to understand what 40,000 people think about specific topic after a day or something like that. So we took a complex situation of trying to understand specific thing and we simplified for them for a trend. Same for Shopify. I build solutions that enable merchants to create Facebook advertising within one click, while in 2011 and in 2012, the Facebook advertising was very challenging, especially for the ecommerce merchants to use. We took for the creative targeting, bidding, and everything for them. So it makes me feel very exciting about providing those type of solution. And same in Justt. I think in Justt, it's even more extreme because in Justt, they are not even involved and we take care for everything for them and they see just the money back. So it's also very exciting. I always feeling satisfied hearing the compliments from the merchants who getting excited with the fact that they had like 2% success rate, 5% success rate, but today they have 60, 70, and sometimes even over 80% success rate. This is from the work side. From the personal, I think it's also somehow related to work because when we build Justt, in one end, I'm telling to many investors that we grow from 200 to 130 employees and everyone say, wow, and getting excited about it. But I always feel something internally that I don't know how to pass it through a discussion with them, which is the fact that they don't understand that we actually build here a family. We choose very personally each one that we hired and we have a very strong culture within the company. And we put a lot of effort to build a strong culture in the company. Actually, the first employee was HR of Amazon Israel for the last 5 years. And we put a lot of focus to hire great people, which today I'm very glad that I'm surrounded by great people who help me to build a company because at the end of the day, we spend 9 hours per day in the company. In startup, it's always much more. And you want to enjoy the process. So I told to myself that after Shopify in my next company, I'm going to put a lot of focus on enjoying the process itself and making sure that everyone will enjoy because I believe that people build company and not the opposite.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. So in the payments and fintech space over the years, it's, as you know, you've been around it, it's changed a lot in the last, say, 5 to 10 years. And you've got people who are coming into this industry who actually want to build a career in the industry. They see it as a hot, sexy industry to be in. There's a lot of money being invested in fintech. And fintech, the word didn't even exist 5 or 10 years ago, but it has become the sort of place to be in a lot of ways. And kids are going to college and they can take courses in fintech. I don't know if they can get a degree in fintech yet, but I'm sure that's coming at some point. But what would your advice be to them when they're coming right out of university or out of college and they want to go into payments, they want to go into fintech? What would you tell them to do to help start their career and be successful?
So it's very interesting. When I was in the last Money 2020, John Weiner, who was the founder of Money 2020, also one of our investors, at one of the events, he said that he is now not the owner of Money 2020, but at one of the events, he mentions that he's very exciting about the fact that Money 2020 become one of the largest conference for the fintech industry. And he said, listen, when I founded Money 2020, the word fintech wasn't even there. People weren't sure what is this conference about and if they should participate or not. And as you said, I feel that the fintech industry is booming today. I am for sure like if I wouldn't found Justt, I would for sure take a part in the fintech industry. I think it's very exciting. And as I told you about myself, I always try to tackle a complex situation and simplify things. So for those who would like to start getting into the payments industry, first of all, I think there is a lot of needs within the payments process itself, within different parts within the fintech industry that required solutions. And maybe the first thing I would do if I would get out of the university is to try to talk with people. It's funny. I think yesterday I talked with a startup who asked my advice about type of solutions that they would like to provide within the fintech industry. And I told them that I suggest them to go to the next e-commerce conference and every time ask different questions related to different ideas that they have, because they have 3 different ideas. And every time kind of not pretending that they are a different company, but ask about the problem itself. And I'm sure that merchants, online businesses are very open to share what they are looking for, what's their needs. And it's very easy to understand those things. I think now it's a bit more challenging with the fact that there are less conferences due to the COVID, but I believe that there are many different ways to connect with people, with companies. And yeah, I think it's very exciting industry to start working on.
Okay. Well, Ofir, we have covered a lot of ground on you and your background and your career, on your company, on the industry as a whole. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Not exactly. I think, first of all, I really like the podcast. And I hope that in the future, we are going to see many more solutions within the payments industry. I really believe that in 10 years from today, there is going to be an amazing ecosystem for merchants, for online businesses to use these type of solutions. And we are going to see more and more smart technologies, machine learning, communicate between them and using the same data source, while the merchants will be able to use it like a puzzle and building the right solutions that they need in order to solve their problems. So we are very excited to take part of this industry. Today, we mostly focus on credit cards and debit cards, but we are also going to announce soon solutions that related to alternative payments, of course, related to chargebacks as well, which is also exciting by itself because there are many different alternative payments that we are going to see more and more in the future.
I definitely think alternative payments are the future. Can you tell the audience what would be the best way for them to learn more about the company?
So first of all, of course, we have our website. We would love to get to know more and more merchants. We are also do partnerships. I mentioned partnerships with payment processor, PayFax, anti-fraud solutions, and e-commerce platforms. Some of them are already in discussions with us, but we would love if they will contact us, whether if it's through the website, through the email. And hopefully we are going to be soon in the next largest retailer conference, NRF, in New York. But if not, there are going to be a lot of conferences during the year. And for sure, we are going to attend all of them. And I'm sure that 2022 is going to be a very exciting year for the payments industry.
Absolutely. Well, Ofir, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know your time is very valuable, so I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. It was very nice.
Thank you. And to all you listeners out there, I thank you for your time as well. And until the next story.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Leaders in Payments podcast. Make sure you visit our website at leadersinpayments.com, where you can subscribe to the show and where you'll find our show notes. If you enjoyed listening, please share on your social channels as well.